that's okay.
March 2nd, 1920.
All right.
Yeah, we love your shoes.
The collage artist, educator, public health official, and community advocate Annie King Phillips earned her MPH degree in health administration from the University of Michigan, MA degree in education administration from New York University, BS degree in elementary education from the District of Columbia Minor Teachers College, and a high school diploma from the historic Dunbar Senior High School of Washington, D.C. I'm going to skip over to her curatorial statement. And Annie, I love this piece, and my curatorial statement primarily focuses on this piece. Annie Phillips' remembrance of growing up in Washington, D.C. during the period of Prohibition is captured in Yes Ma'am Girl. Paying tribute to her mother, who served with dignity as a waitress at the Cairo Hotel and other private clubs in the city, Phillips' collage, composed of colored paper fragments, takes on the shape of her mother, dressed in a lacy white cap and apron, who stands in a handsomely furnished room filled with finely dressed white women who await her service. In making her mother the dominant figure, Annie conveys the message that even in the midst of subservience and segregation, the Black woman's dignity and pride cannot be lost.
Thank you so much. And I said the first thing that I would say today would be that this is absolutely a great way to spend an evening.
Thank you.
And you look at me and you hear that and you say, wow, what was she doing? I was doing so much I didn't even know I had this great talent until I was 75 years old. And it started because I was so ill. I had a therapist who was coming in to see if she could possibly get my spine in line so that I could move more carefully and eloquently as I used to. And I was in such a state, she and I both started crying. She said, I've done all I can do. I can't even get your body straight enough to put you in traction. And I said, oh God, what do you want me to do? And he answered me. And I began cutting paper. Well, when I grew up, if you were cutting paper, you know, people said things. So I figured, well, this is all coming up now. But I started focusing on blue. And when I finished, I had all scraps of paper. You know, I was really out there. I had just sat there cutting all these little pieces of blue paper. And then I began to massage them and arrange them. And the first collage I did is called Shades of Blue. And it wasn't until about 6 months later that I looked at that. And it was the profile of a person looking out into the horizon. And I said, my, that's kind of giving me direction, you know. So I said, maybe I am supposed to do something that looks pretty good. I had a good eye for art because in Washington, D.C., the museums and galleries were free. And they were not segregated. They couldn't segregate. They couldn't tell me I couldn't go in as with other public places. So every weekend and every minute I was in the museums, I was in the galleries, and people looked at me funny and I looked funny back at them. And I studied the artists, I knew all the artists, and would you believe that when Myrtis came to my studio in my home, and she was telling me about all the art that would be here, she said something about Yolanda Pierce, and I said, whoa, she was my teacher. Wow. And we were her first class. Wow. So she was such a wonderful, beautiful woman. And the kids had matched her up with Mr. Baltimore, you know. We didn't know, but he was a young guy and he was handsome. And we said, you know, they ought to be, you know. And, so she was, you know. But it was in that class that I got all the art education I've ever had. I'm a self-taught artist. I've had no formal education. But she made me love art. And at that time, that was the Harlem Renaissance. There was the Works Project, art project in New York City. And I love Georgette Powell as my mentor, and I love her to this day with all the passion in my heart. Because I took some of my stuff over there one day, and I sat with her like Myrtis sat with Valerie. And we spent a whole day together. And I said, oh, this is it. I'm going to be an artist. I have to be an artist. And I made 10, my first 8 collages. And I don't show them very much. As a matter of fact, I hid them under my bed. And I have a daughter. I'm a great-grandmother, too. I have a great-granddaughter, 18 months old. But my older daughter is a neat freak. And she lives in Naperville, Illinois. And she comes, and she would come to my house, and she said, oh, look how they left the house. She'd start running the vacuum and cleaning up my house, you know. My other daughter's not as neat. So she said, what is all this stuff under your bed? I said, that's my stuff, just leave it alone. So she said, no, I'm going to clean it out. And she said, whose stuff is this? Mine. Where did you get it? I said, you did what? They teased me about being right-brained. I had the brain dominance test, and I was off the charts. So that tells you a lot about me. But my daughters fill in, they're left-sided, you know, that's a good combination. So they kept the house clean, did all the business, and so forth, and I didn't have to worry about that. So she said, well, I'm pulling it out. And she looked at it, she said, oh, don't hide this. Let me see it, you know. And when she went through it, she said, you've got to let somebody see this. So what I did was to make some greeting cards out of the first 8. I didn't know what else to do. I never framed them. I never did it. I said, oh, they'll be nice cards. And then people said, well, we're not sending these as cards. I'm going to frame them. So I said, gee, if they're going to do that, maybe I ought to take this more seriously. And I did. And the last time, I write down each one that I make. The last time I wrote them down, I had 200. Oh. But I want to tell you about this one.
We'll start with Wash Day.
Okay, Wash Day was the, what can I say? That was the neighborhood industry when I grew up. I'm in the 1920s, and it was hard times, and I mean hard times. We had a butcher shop nearby, and I would go there and ask for a soup bone. And the butcher would say,